Welcome back, everybody. We're going back to our Azure Virtual Desktop Lab here, and today we're going to be creating a workspace module, which is basically like the front end portal to actually click the application group and session desktops to connect in. So think of it like a web page to click into. If you're familiar with something like Citrix, that'll be a published portion of the Azure Virtual Desktop. So we're going to start off with the resource. I'm going to name this workspace. Go ahead and look for workspaces. And then unless we need to use otherwise, we're going to use the latest API version. And then we need location. You guys are going to start noticing the pattern here of what we need to do. Tags, and then this is an object, param, workspace name. Location is location. Tags, tags. And then we can get into the meat of it with properties. And then the description, we can just call it the workspace name again. That's fine. Unless you want to use something other than that, friendly name, workspace name. And if you want more details on this, description, friendly name, probably more details on that in the Microsoft documentation if you want to look that up. So for our demonstration, we are going to make this a enabled public. There is an option to put this behind a private endpoint. So we are going to make this a parameter. And let's make this default to enabled. And then the application group preferences. So basically we're putting the application groups into a workspace, and then a host pool will sit in that application group. So it's kind of like a nested resource for each one. And they're all, workspace depends on the application group, which depends on the host pool, which we will then deploy a VM into. And then this is going to be an array, so we can put multiple things in here. So we can do something like this. Param and we're going to make this an array. And the default is going to be the session desktop ID. And nice little thing is we can put an array within an array. If I wasn't dyslexic, we could get through this today. And see, it's not yelling at us anymore. Okay, and then again, we're going to use outputs. And then just for standardization, we're going to use the workspace capital I lowercase d. And then we can also use the name. Alright, this is saved, and now we can go ahead and put this over here. So now let's call the module, and then we're going to need which values. just these two. And let's call it WS AVD PRD was US3. And we don't need this one. We don't need any of these. Anything yellow typically means that you're not using it at the moment. Except for this one, because we're basically saying, hey, this is the password, but it's telling us, hey, you should probably make this secure. But since this is lab, I'm not all too worried about the password here. Module, and then we're going to create a workspace. And then this typical format, which is the workspace name, date. Yes. Scope. And this will be the host pool ID, the application group ID, excuse me. So we're going to rename this just so it's accurate here. Application group, outputs, application group ID. And we also need location, is location, tags is tags. Okay, I think we're ready to try this out. Let's go ahead and format this real quick. And then since we're not really needing the virtual machine just yet, let's go ahead and just try this portion of it first. So now we're going to right click, deploy, and we're going to deploy all these different resources. AVD bicep deployment. Send it to, and then we're going to use no parameter file. And we got an error. You must not have put in a name here. So let's do AG, AVD, prod, West US3. Let's see if we're missing any other parameters, and it doesn't look like we are. So let's go ahead and redeploy this. AVD bicep deploy. And let's go ahead and go to the portal and see what we get for this. And then we can actually use Azure Virtual Desktop, which is the suite of different applications within Azure Virtual Desktop. As you can see, it's host pools, application groups, and workspaces. So let's go back to the deployment, see if anything is bugging out on us. And it looks like it likes everything. So we can see here that we have all these different things here. And now let's just, I want to see if this is going to work here. So let's assign somebody to the application group. What is the URL? Okay, it's going to be this one. So we went ahead and created an account. We're going to go and assign it here. Let's add somebody right here. Called account, select, and add. And I believe we also have to add them to the workspace so that they can see it. We'll see here in a moment. Okay, you can create a test user over here. I've created one over since this is my domain. This is the entire account. I created it under the name account, and then we went to a URL called client.wvd.microsoft.com, and I have added this user to the application group right here. So we go to assignments, and then add a user right here. Once this is added, you'll be able to see it in the portal under this URL, and it'll find it in your tenant here.